This is HR Service Unscripted.
I'm like, curveball.
All
Okay.
right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, HR Service Unscripted. Right? I'm here with Dr. Liz, our
Hello.
Southern Associate, and my East Coast person is Nikki.
Hello.
I'm Dean at the home office in the technically West, almost Midwest. Anyway, it's So how's everybody doing today? Doing good? Ready to go?
Doing
Ready.
good.
Anything fun happened last night?
I live outside of New York, and I never ever really go into the city. I don't want to say never ever. It's rare. But I did go in last night on a Wednesday night, which is very unusual because I can't even tell you the last time I drove into the city like on a weeknight evening. I don't even know if I ever have, to be honest with you. Anyways, it was New Jersey night on Broadway. So New Jersey residents were offered like some discounts and things like that. So we ended up seeing Aladdin, awesome show. And it got me to thinking because, it's not a traditional workplace environment. It's dancers, right? And they're young and they have like these, amazing lives and they're all cool in the city and stuff like that. Um, and there's a lot of touching. I mean, literally, some of them are kissing during some parts of the show. So I was thinking to myself, like, oh, there must be so many blurred lines between what they consider professional and not professional. And I feel like that is kind of an HR nightmare. Which also then further, I got to thinking of TV and movie characters, like which one is an HR nightmare, right? So it's just nobody, well, in my family wanted to discuss this with me about those things. So I figured you guys might, though.
I think we do want to discuss that. So what are you thinking? More like professionalism in the workplace?
Also, the who's an HR nightmare, like your
HR
favorite
nightmares.
TV
Okay.
show character. I forgot to say that earlier. Sorry.
I'm like, curveball.
Sorry. That was what we were going to talk about today. But okay, the most famous TV workplace, right? The Office.
The Office, yeah.
I think everybody knows that one, right?
I think
What do we
everybody there's
think?
an HR nightmare.
Oh, the whole place or
Oh, the
just
whole
any
place. Everybody.
You
Jim
think
should have been
so?
termed a long time ago.
Jim is the one you called out?
He's an obstruction. He's always using the resources inappropriately. Yeah. He's he's the
Can you
ringleader of the
provide an
circus.
example? I feel like he's the most normal character in this show.
It's been a while and I don't watch a lot of TV, but I just remember him always having some hijinks and doing something off the wall. It's like, no, thank you. We get rid of Jim. We solve a lot of the problems in the office. And then Dwight's going to fall into alignment there. Their HR person needs to go. He doesn't really do anything.
Toby, I think they thought he was the Scranton slasher. He might have just
Well, he wasn't slashing the employees.
wait. So okay, I agree with you that Jim was probably like bullying towards Dwight if we really had to nail it down. But also, I feel like that built a great rapport with everyone. It was such a team building effort. What about Michael? He's
Oh, yeah, he's the incompetent leader. He needs to
That's
go.
where I was going to go. If anyone needs to be in trouble, it's Michael. He did a few fishy, maybe not so corporate antics.
the buck stops with Michael. He was the head of that office.
He tolerated Jim. He allowed everything to happen.
But I
And
think
I don't think Jim was that bad. I don't have an issue with Jim. I thought Jim was pretty funny. Put Jim and Pam together, there could have been an issue. But
Michael did make inappropriate comments about Pam several times.
Yeah.
But I will say a point for Michael is that he definitely celebrated neurodiversity,
oh,
hired a team that was quite neurodiverse. And I think that was ahead of its time, especially for when it first came out.
Yeah.
very true.
But yes, he
That's
was
funny. Well, don't forget about Kevin. Kevin always made everybody laugh.
Okay, which one was Kevin?
I believe Kevin was the gentleman that has the chili. Didn't he bring his chili and spill it everywhere?
He's in accounting. I think he was like a ball. It was
He was the
Oscar,
balding
Angela,
gentleman, yep.
and
The
yeah,
larger balding gentleman.
you can say
Okay, now I
it.
know which one Kevin was. Took a while.
It usually everything he said was fairly inappropriate. You're like, okay,
Kevin?
but in a very nice way.
I don't remember him saying things that were inappropriate. It's so long since I've seen it. But actually my friend is a huge fan of The Office and she gave me some examples before, so I wanted to.
The
Oh, she
Office
also
is
said
always
we should
great.
cover Parks and Rec.
I've never seen Parks and Rec, so I cannot speak to that one.
Parks and Rec, that actually is quite funny as well.
That is
But It's
pretty good
Always
too.
Sunny in Philadelphia could be another great
I've never
Uh,
watched
place.
that one.
Never seen that one. But again, I don't
Okay.
watch a lot of TV, so
I'm lying to you. I watched the first episode and I found that show dreadful.
Oh, it gets better. They all get better, but then they all play on each other. My brother-in-law is probably the biggest Office fan I've ever met. And when he came to visit, he lives up in the Pacific Northwest, and he came down. He wanted to watch The Office, the original Office from England. He
Mhm.
said that one is even worse. Well, it's better, but it's worse. As in for office politics and just consistency or HR views, it's pretty bad too.
I wonder though if it in the context of being a show that's produced and developed in, is it Britain or United Kingdom? Whichever it is. Sorry, I'm a stupid American. Because they have such like strict employee protections. So I wonder if like they can get away with a lot more because they all do have employment contracts and it's really hard to fire people.
It's true. I never thought
my
about that aspect,
understanding.
but yeah. And they have a total different sense of humor than we have over here in the Western side of the world. It's kind of
I
interesting.
agree. I don't always get British humor. My husband loves British humor. He'll always watch a lot of British shows. There are like one or two British shows that I've watched that I really do like, but I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't get it. And he's like, it's British humor. I'm like, I said,
Oh,
I mean, I don't have lack understanding of it. I know it's funny. It's not funny. It's
yeah,
not funny.
we don't watch British television either. If I say British television, my family say, "Oh, Harry Potter."
See, and if we do watch TV, we're more likely to watch British television because we kind of align with that drier sense of humor. And so it kind of works a little bit more. But you do bring up a good point with the professionalism in the workplace and these different areas, how they're behaving and what's tolerated and why. And a lot of that goes into the workplace personality and the culture of the workplace, where certain things you see it in different industries, whether it be entertainment or even the restaurant industry is another one where there's things going on that you're like, why is this tolerated? But it's a work culture norm.
I think especially the restaurant industry is fraught with what I find to be inappropriate behavior. And I understand, it's especially like the restaurant slash bar culture because they're there till like 2 in the morning and they want to relax afterwards. It is just completely different thing. But I don't know, maybe I'm just at this point in my career, I'm just too stuffy and like, no, I'm not risking any of my professional, anything for having a glass of wine with these people at 2 in the morning.
It's
Uh,
interesting too if you just look at those industries, but you can look at everything else from where I've been this week. I've been to an engineering firm and to a trucking company. Vast differences between the two. One, how people present themselves, physically, mentally, the way they communicate's different. It's just a total 180 from one another. And is it one better than the other? I don't know what's the cultural norm there.
I think that's what it depends on what the cultural norm is for that industry and that work location. I mean, along the same lines, my daughter recently applied for her first job,
Yay.
and it was at a tattoo shop.
Oh,
She's over 18, so that is in alignment with her, and she has a very self-expressive when it comes to her attire, and that was one of her concerns with the workplace is that she'd have to tone down her makeup and tone down her style of dress. But that's why we started targeting things like tattoo parlors, piercing parlors, because her her appearance, her aesthetic aligns more with their cultural norm, whereas she couldn't necessarily get away with that at like a McDonald's.
Hmm. Very large corporate structure for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, law offices, CPAs, things like that. I feel like they're still kind of a little bit stuffy where they want to maintain, collared shirts and maybe even like a tie.
Yeah, haven't you seen the change though with the cultural norms, like, with piercings and hair and makeup, tattoos,
Mhm.
whatever. 20 years ago, those were non-existent. You didn't see that in any industry. And now where do you go that you don't see that?
Oh, absolutely. Medical, especially. So I worked at a very large medical conglomerate around here, and there it was a strict no tattoos policy. I mean, strict. This was probably I guess around 2014, maybe 2015. So, 10 years ago. And I mean, we fired people every week for not covering up their tattoos. And it's not like they couldn't have them, they just had to keep them covered. So it wasn't
Yeah,
that bad, although it was hard, difficult if they had it like on their face or their hands. So yeah, every week firing people for it. And then I didn't go there for a while. Well, once I left that job and, did a bunch of stuff, I just happened to not like use any of the doctors there. And then recently, maybe it was a year ago, I went to see a specialist in the office, where I used to work. And I mean, the guy was covered in tattoos. And I was like, I used to work here and they didn't allow that. And he had worked there long enough that he like remember. He was like, no, I remember when they started allowing it. And he's like, and then I could finally wear short sleeves again. But I think they couldn't
Uh,
find people, so they had to
exactly.
expand it. And also, like the culture changes. Like when I was there in 2015, it was still, I mean, I'm sure it still is that in the medical field, it caters towards the elderly because they're usually the one, that's the most common population. And at that point, like they didn't like it. But here we are 10 years later, and it's people who have tattoos who are like coming in as the elderly.
Exactly. So is it because the generation behind the elderly's phasing out and the next generation has the tattoos that are coming up, so it's a norm?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely becoming more of a norm.
Then the
Yeah.
next generation coming up is going to have the faces and the hair and the piercings and all that. So then that trend will be coming, how everything changes every so many generations will come back to being conservative again.
But it's such a slippery. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Liz.
No, I was going to say that I did my dissertations on tattoos and did a lot of research on body modification in the workplace. And it's a long title. I won't bore y'all with all the titles and all the details, but essentially, what I found in the research for that is that, of course, with the newer generation, tattoos are becoming more norm, thus they have to be more accepted. But in addition to that, the discrimination that, well, not discrimination is not the right word, but the adverse treatment that some experience as an impact of having tattoos is more likely to come from coworkers than it is from third parties, customers, clients, and so forth. So, and that's what I found interesting.
It is interesting.
What do you mean by coworkers? Like coworkers of, I don't want to like stereotype, but like literally equal part coworkers, or is it like
Like equal
somebody
part coworkers.
I'm offended on those people's behalf?
So I thought that was an interesting point to find because it does go very much so into establishing the norms for the workplace and the culture of the workplace is what are the coworkers thinking and what are they expecting, and they were more likely to profile employees with visible tattoos as less competent.
Hmm. So I saw a funny meme about tattoos in which it said, um, people with tattoos should be the first ones that you hire because they demonstrate that they can sit in one place for a long time and have needles driven into their skin, which is very painful. And the person's point was like, that's every corporate meeting I've ever been in my life. So I feel like it's
Uh,
really is a transferable skill.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but that's how I feel about meetings recently as well.
Some of them, some meetings can feel like that.
It's so funny you say things like that because my wife's in the medical industry and she'll do IVs and things, and there's so many people that have tattoos that they're okay getting a tattoo, but getting any type of injection, they're afraid of. Like that's hmm, kind of an
The
interesting
tattoo can only
process
go
for
a
me.
teeny
Yeah.
tiny bit into their
So
epidermis.
I fall into that. I have a couple of tattoos, and the tattoos themselves, no problem. But when it comes to like my labs and drawing blood or getting a shot, I can't even look. I have to look away. And I have to like hold on to something like I'm holding someone's hand because I just can't do it.
Okay,
Tattoos
you
are fine
explain
though.
to us, you tell us the difference. I need you to explain to us the difference between those two things.
There is no difference. There is no logical reason behind it.
When you
Now
get your
you're
blood
going to
drawn,
have
it's
this really
only,
profound, like, well, I've thought about it and this is it.
yeah, you
No,
think
I've
getting
thought
your
about it
blood
and it's
drawn, yeah.
illogical.
Blood drawn is just one poke. They go in there and they take out all the vials, right? And they just watch your blood drain. It's like amazing how fast it comes out. The tattoo, it's just this process of grinding and grinding and grinding for hours.
Interesting. Interesting.
So maybe, I don't know. But then others I know that have some very large tattoos are very happy. They're addicted to that. They go and get it because part of it's addicting. Yeah, when they say, you get one tattoo, you're going to get more, of course. They're addicted to
Yeah.
that grind on the skin. So it's
There's hardly
interesting.
anyone who has just one tattoo that I know. I don't think I know any. It is definitely like a you keep going back. I don't have any. I'm afraid of needles in all forms, even if it's just a shallow one or a
At
big
least
one.
you're consistent.
Could also be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm not Jewish. That's okay. That's not at all the reason that I never got a tattoo. It's still the fear of needles one. Yeah,
And they'll
so
come out on the
normalcy,
cemetery.
what's normal in the workplace. So it really brings me though to another point where it's like, I wonder if they have, say, these, entertainers have really strong, like, no dating between employees policies, or do they think that's overstepping? Because they also have weird hours.
So it's kind of interesting because I worked at a theme park and one of the theme park that I worked at had a large entertainment center. That was a big part of it. So they had the dancers, the actors and everything to that extent. And there was a very strict policy about dating in the workplace, but it had become such a norm for that particular department that it was almost like we just look the other way as long as it doesn't cause an issue in the workplace. And it that wasn't my favorite approach to it, but it was one of those. It was so pervasive in the environment that if you would have addressed it, we would have had no entertainment department.
It's
Interesting.
fair.
I agree with that. I feel like a look the other way is only because you need the policy to fall back on when you need it,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But it's just the reality of it. Like, we can make these wonderful policies that are, oh, this is when you come down to reality, like there's so much nuance and you really have to figure out, okay, I'm sorry, is it your lead who you need for 7 shows a week? Or is it some background dancer who's in a full costume, nobody knows their face at all? Who's causing the problem here?
And
Unfortunately.
that sometimes does come into effect in the decision making process when it comes to enforcing policies. It's
Mhm.
not one of the favorite topics that HR likes to discuss, but it is a legit topic.
It's the reality of the situation because we have to be fair to everybody. We have to, like, I would love to be fair to everybody. Trust me, that's my goal is to be the most fair to everybody. But you know who you also have to be fair to? Every other single person who works in that company who needs to have a working organization that is profitable. So sometimes you kind of have to weigh it against like, okay, how much money are we going to lose on this? And are people going to lose their jobs? Are we going to have to scale back? Like you really do have to think of everyone. And typically, we're in a different situation where we work consultants with clients, although we do work for a company. But when you're in-house HR, you're also thinking like, I got to do what's best for this company so that we're solvent.
And when you bring up the show you went to, I know beforehand we discussed who it was done in the production. My son-in-law actually works for that company, and they have their own university. They train for like 3 weeks before they actually get on the floor or in the dance tribe, whatever they're doing. And so you are trained on how to act appropriately, not only with guests, but with other members, coworkers, and it's a very interesting process. It's like they run you through this training where they rewire your brain on how to interact with people. So I don't know how that's going to work, on this same scenario of the dancers. But then, look at any large company that's doing these type of things. Are you looking at baseball teams, football teams, anything else? How are all the players interacting in the locker rooms? Is there issues that the HR are you a HR nightmare when they walk in? Are they not? So many industries we could touch base with this and say, okay, are you good or are you bad? Are you my nightmare or are you not my nightmare?
I mean, that company, because it's a large one, so people probably know what we're talking about. They have the pockets like to establish these policies and follow through and consult with attorneys. There's all levels of entertainment, industry. There's these little tiny playhouses. I mean, around here there are, um, and it's definitely a business, but they don't have the funding to even have an HR person at all, let alone, develop the policies and follow through with them and make sure everyone feels comfortable at work. Very much dependent on that as well.
Yeah, it's true. You go to the small scale. We have a couple small scale theaters like that where the people are either still going to school or just barely out of school, and that's like their first job before they can actually move up. And you wonder, okay, what are you learning at the grassroots level versus going up to the corporate level? Are you going to have to be retrained on, the touchy-feely parts or no touchy-feely parts?
The answer is yes.
Yes. But if you establish it from the beginning, you're already trained, you don't have to worry about that. Well,
Mhm.
you have less concern about that moving up. But that's where us as a company, we come in. We can do policies, procedures for people. Very good at it.
Right. Our
And we do it on
fractional
almost a
HR
daily
is
basis.
super it. Hmm.
You can help with the enforcement of those policies as well, if needed.
Hmm.
Or
Exactly.
implementation would probably be a better word than enforcement.
We won't tell anybody you said that.
Well, it depends, depending where you're at, what you need to do with it. It's okay.
So, do we want to do our listener question of the day?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a good one. It's a good one. You guys ready? I'll read it. Okay, so train or terminate. Our question of the day is from a manager of a factory worker. He says, everyone on the team genuinely enjoys working with Eddie. His positive attitude and easygoing nature make the team stronger. That said, I've noticed his production numbers have been running below target, and a few quality issues have caused slowdowns on the line, which have a negative impact on the company's financials and morale. I believe he's capable, but I can't keep relying on the rest of the team to make up his shortcomings, even though everyone is pretty forgiving due to his good nature. Can I fire him?
That kind of aligns with what we were talking about a little while ago. You have somebody who is important to the company based on their ability to drive engagement and be well liked and so forth. And that goes a long way because that helps build the culture. But if they're not performing, what do you do? I don't know that I'd be ready to fire Eddie, though. I think that we still got some training to do on that one if it's just him not meeting. I don't know. What do you think, Dean?
My first thought as soon as is when someone asks, "Can I fire them?" and the first answer is always yes, you can fire them. Yeah. As long as you're right to work state, right? Most of our country's that way, except for one.
Yep, Montana.
And good old Montana. Um, yeah, realistically you can fire them. Then I always tell, especially with clients, like, yes, you can fire them, but there's always that but. Okay, here's
Mhm.
the caveat we need. This is why you shouldn't. I'll give you a couple more options. Let's train. This is what we can do. Or, whatever. With in this scenario, let's train Eddie. Let's make sure Eddie, you know, he's easy going. He doesn't sound to be a horrible person. And why are his production numbers below target right now? Is it a training issue?
Maybe
Is it a
because he's
supervisor issue? What? Let's dig into it before we actually term.
Is he too busy
Now,
making friends with his coworkers and that's why they all like him so much?
maybe he's just a
chit-chatting.
nice guy. He just may not be the quickest person, but is he consistent? Does he come in? He works hard. He does his job. He's just happy to be there. And there's so many different variables we can play with.
I think I'd rather work with an Eddie than a person who is like real strict about their numbers and but they're like not nice to deal with. I think I personally would hire an
Mhm.
Eddie over, Freddie.
See, I may have to respectfully disagree on that one if I'm the one picking up the extra work because Eddie's slacking off.
Well,
Then you
and
got a
that's as good
jerk
as
coming
well. Let's look at the scenario because it could be if you're in this production scenario, our numbers, what's making you do have to do X amount of numbers. We have to kick out X amount of widgets to make, profit to make to keep the lights on.
in.
No, are we just producing stuff we're going to go sell at the local farmers market and, get a little bit of beeswax here and there on the side? What's our goal? What's the company doing? So there's so many different dynamics we can play with. I think we need a little bit more information, but what I have, I'm going to train Eddie. I think I like Eddie.
I mean, maximum profitability, I think, is always the goal, though. But at what cost?
Can
If you
be.
have a turnover in other areas because people are like, oh, they kept this instead of Eddie, who's a happy time Charlie, they keep Freddie, the serial killer, who, gets his numbers up, but everybody hates working with him. I mean, you might have people quitting because they don't want to work with a jerk.
Or you may want to fire
Exactly.
that guy too. You can have somebody who is pleasant to work with and capable of doing their job. There is an in between.
Are you a Freddie or
There,
an Eddie?
there's there is an in between. I don't have Freddie's information. I only have Eddie, so I'm gonna look at Eddie. But yeah, I'm
We
personally
have Freddie's
I'm gonna.
information. He gets his work done, but he's a jerk. That's what we said about Freddie. He's Freddy Krueger.
Oh, well, Freddie. Well, he wouldn't have passed my background, so I wouldn't have Freddie in my office anyway. So, oh,
It
that's
seems like we're
great.
in agreement. There's extra work needed to be done before we'd be ready to part ways with Eddie.
Yeah. And does Eddie even know that that he's maybe slacking a little bit? Does he know he's not up to par? What can we do to help Eddie? Let's do all we can and document everything. There's my document spiel of the week. I make sure I get that in every week. But
Every week. I feel like I say the word document every hour.
well, yeah, exactly. Well, for this and yeah, oh my gosh, document is
Like
just
with
so often.
IT, it's did you turn it off and on? And with us, it's did you document?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we may be worse than IT with that. Did you reboot your machine? You're like, oh my God. Did you document this? Yeah.
And the answer is always, oh, when we're asking if they
Yes.
document, yes, oh, to always rebooting. Yes, rebooting is the first thing I tried before I called you. Hello, I am a millennial and I don't want to talk to you on the phone. But did you document? The answer is always no.
They're like, well, what do you mean by documentation? I think I did something. I wrote a memo months ago. You're like, okay.
Yeah. Someone else saw me talk to him, but they don't work here anymore. Do you know that person's name and their number, anything? No, no.
Okay. So we're keeping Eddie, at least for now.
Train. Eddie's a
We're
train.
gonna
You know what?
train.
I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna put that one on my list. So result, train.
Train. We will improve his performance.
Yeah.
That makes me think a little bit about poor Eddie. Not even poor Eddie, but how often do we deal with this? I was dealing with this morning. I'm sure we deal with this, what, once, twice, three times a week, just different people. We'll get calls. What do I do with my employee? How do I handle this employee? Like, well, have you talked to your employee? And what's usually the answer?
No.
No.
I mean, is it
Uh,
me? Because I feel like, I don't know, I talk to a lot of people who are not like from New Jersey, and they're always like, oh, that's a New Jersey thing. You act like that 'cause you're from New Jersey. But like, I just, if I'm having a problem with someone, I'll say it to their face, not in an offensive way. It'll just be like, hey, what's going on with this? Like in a questioning way. But I feel like a large majority, to me, it seems to be location based. Like a large majority of the population is not comfortable to even just have like an easygoing conversation where you're just questioning it. Or maybe you shouldn't wait till you get annoyed is a problem.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a large amount, especially with newer leadership, that they weren't trained on how to have those critical conversations. They weren't trained on how to be open. And in a lot of areas, I do think that it is more of a be careful the way you're wording things when you're interacting with people. Which, while we want to be polite, being too polite can detract from the overall message that we're trying to send.
I agree.
That's why I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Radical Candor by Kim Scott. It is a great book that y'all have to hear me talk about all the time. But it does do a great job of talking about the importance of being honest and direct in conversations, but still being respectful in the process.
I like that. I need to refer that book to a client. I have a client who they're an amazing group. They do really well, really take care of their people. They have one problem person, and I'm dealing with that person now as in a training situation. But his supervisor talks to him in such a nice way that he thinks he does something wrong, but it's presented so positive that he's not quite sure.
Oh no.
You're like, you're like, oh my gosh, you're telling him he's wrong, but in a very great positive way. So he leaves so confused. Am I right? Am I wrong? And then of course he doesn't ask questions because he's scared to ask questions in case he is in the wrong. It's interesting scenario.
Wow.
Yeah, so I get to have that conversation where I bring it up. He's like, whoa, whoa, I didn't hear any of that. I'm like, oh my goodness, what was the conversation?
The
It's
message is
very
so
interesting.
soft that it is not
Yeah,
landing.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh, it's funny.
Instead of if I came in there, I'd be like, excuse me, we got a problem
It,
here.
well, exactly. I had to have a conversation with the supervisor, like, okay, when you're talking to this person, just let them know it's okay. We're all grown-ups. We can handle a conversation. Let's not be confusing in our conversation. Sounds like we're coming to the end of the hour. Is that all? Anything else? Any other statements, comments anybody likes?
I think we got it.
Okay. Well, good. Well, we wish Eddie luck.
Good luck, Eddie.
Good luck, Eddie. Don't turn into a Freddy.
Oh, that's right. Well, we'll talk about Freddie next time. Okay. Well, if
Come
you
back
want to
next
listen
time
to,
also for our next question from the listener, train or terminate.
that's right. It's a lot of good questions. I'm sure they'll even get better. There'll be some juicy ones coming up, I'm sure.
Yes. Oh, and we should give contact information if listeners would like to send in their own questions. We'd love to receive them.
Hey, we will do that. You can reach us through email at solutions@hrserviceinc.com. We do have a phone of 833-685-8400. I'll bring you to the main line and you can get a hold of it. You can actually get a person there if you call that one, or you can leave a message either way, and we'll get back to you. Remember, we are HR Service Unscripted, right? We're on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe.